Good evening everyone, tonight we are bringing you another match from Polish nationals, a bout between Essence and Apo, later top 8 contestants who performed wonderfully during the event. This time I have a pleasure to welcome Bookkeeper into the commentary booth. Could you please introduce yourself, friend?
Hello, glad to be here. I'm Kuba, aka Bookkeeper, hailing from Poznań meta. Currently not so big meta, I think I was the only contestant in that tournament from Poznań. Glad to be here.
Glad to have you here. So you can see that the players are starting the game currently. They are playing Mercury against Azmari, and this is a personal brew from Essence and the Mercury, as all Mercuries in any meta will be during this and even until now events. And this is the by then iteration of Kill Azmari using Jupstad Grid to try and flatline the runner in combination with re-education.
Yeah, so we're commentating from the future. The tournament took place in fall last year, but this Azmari is still strong in the current meta.
Yes, and
we're seeing
the game starting. Yes, very quickly they run off fans, hitting the Azmari right after Predictive Planogram and YDL, the amazing engine for Azmari decks when it comes to the economy, and the card installed on the table is, I believe, Spin Doctor, but Azmari being Azmari recoups some of the loss by getting 2 credits from calling the event.
Yeah, technically you would say it's a mistake against the criminal player not to defend HQ, but Azmari doesn't care. We have a steal of one of the most important agendas, if not the most important. It's re-education, right?
Yes, this is a re-education, so now the Azmari, now Apo only has 2 agendas that will be the part of the combo. The other 3 in the deck, I believe, are the Grimials, which are simply here to not be stolen, or to be hard to be stolen.
Yeah, they just defend themselves. In this deck, Apo wants to advance potentially with Hollow Man or manually, and Jupstad is there to provide core damage, right? There's 1 copy of Jupstad and 1 Neurospike that can be the different line to the second line to kill the runner.
Yes, the Neurospike requires 1 advancement token being placed on the re-education before the turn or 2 Hollow Mans, and the Jupstad requires just the installation of 3 pieces on the board, both of which are able to be diffused with the use of pinhole threading, which usually helps the runner in slowing down the corporation by a turn or 2 in the best cases.
Here we can see Essence revealing the second spin on the table with falsified credentials, deciding what to do with this card. They seem not interested in interacting.
Well, he did hit the asset, and with this second Spin Doctor on the table, I don't know if they are going to run. The education steal also very importantly being done very early in the game before Apo could set up the punitive counter-strike counter-kill, which will usually threaten the runners who try to interact with the Azmari list in any way, shape or form, and these early accesses, while they are on a similar amount of credits, are what is going to help Essence probably steal the game away before Azmari can set up.
Yeah, and this Mercury can catch some corps off guard, right? With this aggressive style and early multi-access. Both decks seem to be kind of very fast, full throttle.
Very much so. The Mercury ability to start accessing multiple cards of the top of the R&D or potentially HQ at the start of the game is also a great boon for this for the criminal player compared to, for example, 419, who would not be able to exert a similar amount of pressure against an Azmari deck, which uses the fact that it plays only 6 agendas very much so to its benefit of not losing the game on central accesses, very often leaving the centrals open, doofs or multi-access be dumped, but the Mercury multi-access is very consistent, so they can very much threaten a score out or steal out.
Meanwhile, Apo just established his remote. So we've seen the first remote being built, but Essence chooses to draw with Nuka and go HQ with Inside Job. We see the only copy of Jupstad accessed here, and Essence goes for the trash. Second access is Sudden Commandment. Yeah, 4 credits, I believe.
Yes, very much. Sudden Commandment is free, I believe. Jupstad Read was 4 credits, and it is a lot of money, especially when we consider the credit differential right now when it comes to punitive counter-strikes. Obviously, without Jupstad, the corporation cannot kill until they find the Neurospike and the re-education, so that should give Essence time to set up his economy back again, but it will take some time and might open a window for Apo to try and end the game.
Yeah, so this Azmari won't score out. It has a very straightforward game plan here. There's also Spin Doctor on the table, potentially shuffling the Jupstad back. Here we see Apo drawing. The card in the remote stays there, so probably it's an upgrade. Probably it's a Hollow Man, right?
Yeah, I believe it's the Hollow Man, or it could be another Spin Doctor. I haven't quite seen it being what it was when it was installed, and now the second install means that these are either both upgrades and 2 Hollow Mans, or the Rashida Jahim entered the server, or again another Spin Doctor were the original upgrade, the Hollow Man. But this is a fairly slow start from Azmari, especially with Mercury's ability to contest most servers with inside jobs and tools to bypass eyes. They can threaten to steal away their education as long as they are rich enough to survive the punitive counter-strikes. So this somewhat slow start from Azmari can come back to bite the corp later. And here we see the Carpe Diem.
Yeah, so Essence played 2 mark cards, the backstitching that allows, it's another bypassing tool for Mercury, but I think the Carpe Diem run is on archives, and Apo chooses to shuffle some cards back. We saw an agenda there, 1 agenda at least.
And we see that it's not, he's electing to not shuffle back Jupstad Grid, which means that he probably decides to go for the Neurospike win. Which makes sense because Mercury cannot really interact with Neurospike by means of Imp or similar, or like Freedom trashing the operation.
Another inside job on HQ and another steal of re-education, so now the corp also has to count on the punitive line, right?
Yes, and it's a very peculiar situation, because since Apo decided to shuffle the agenda back in, it means that he doesn't have punitive win in hand. Otherwise, he would simply allow it to be stolen, I'm assuming, unless he was scared of a second agenda being stolen in the turn from hand. But it, to me, reads as if he didn't have a kill at the start of the turn. Obviously, if he finds 2 punitives, the 2 credits from Runner are nowhere enough to save him from the punitive line.
Now we see a sudden commandment being played. Apo decides here between Planogram and the red level, drawing more cards, goes for the red level clearance. This is still from Sudden Commandment, so this is a single click, lots of draw. We don't see any punitive in hand.
The first one, I believe, just entered the hand, and he will go back to 4 clicks because of red level clearance refunding the click that was paid for these 2 operations and sudden commandment ability to grant a click for 3 credits.
This is also the last turn. Yes, we have 1 punitive. Is this the last card?
The last card on the left, I believe, is a punitive counter-strike, yes.
We're looking... Okay, so Apo is looking for the second copy here. Because this is the last turn in which he can play punitive, and if that doesn't happen, then punitives become dead cards in his hand.
Very much so. That's the problem with the strategy with punitives in general, that when they misfire or not fire at all, they become just dead weight. It's not such a huge trouble for Azmari, which is very good at just churning through its cards and discarding them to the hand size, so they're used to treating their cards as a folder that they need to go through.
Even more draw. Attitude adjustment now. Drawing, I believe, another agenda and the Spinny D, or something else, but we don't see the second punitive.
I think he's right now deciding on shuffling back any agendas from the attitude adjustment, but either he doesn't want to or didn't draw any because he goes to the next click, and we are
sudden
going for another predictive planogram.
And here it is. Punitive played from sudden commandment. There's 1 click left. And he shows the other copy. Okay, so wow, just in time.
A literal last card. I think he had 1 more draw. He were to pay 3 credits to get the second click from the sudden commandment. No, he was only on 2 clicks, so yeah, he had to find in these 2 draws the punitive counter.
Yeah, so the sudden commandment had to play the 1 copy of punitive, and the other had to be the next click. That's just wild. And of course, credit differential was in Apple's favor, obviously. Okay, we're going to the second matchup, which is BtL, another brew by Essence, against Eza. That's quite a popular build.
Yes, this was at the time a fairly new and popular build of the Spark Essa, trying to put Behemoth, Lamb and Basso into play using Spark of Inspiration and just simply drawing through their deck at an astonishing rate, enabled by a multitude of Anarch card drawing events, in Essa's case hardware and programs causing her the core damage that will bring the cards from stack to hand.
Yeah, we saw an opening with NGO front that Apo as runner checks. Both players ideally want to fire their idea abilities once per turn. Sometimes as Essa you are forced to inflict more core damage on yourself. Do we see Maro played here? Yeah. Okay, so we take the first core here.
Yes, and we immediately start milling and disrupting the corpse plans. The build to us deck has a specific quirk of being slightly smaller than a usual corp deck, which can be a blessing and a curse while playing against a deck that will remove the cards from the top of the R&D. Surprisingly changes how quickly the cards run out.
We're playing a 2-card Monty now, Essence utilizing the Corp ability. That's nice, making some money.
Yes, and we can immediately see that this is probably not the BtL that Sokka was playing during Worlds at the time. nor any type of glacier BtL, building multiple servers and not icing up R&D nor HQ to the extent over a single ice so far.
Yes, at risk of spoiling some fun, we can say that there's no Messny Chest 4 in this deck. We see here a Spin Doctor contested, but there are some really nice choices, not very obvious ones in Essence deck. What caught my attention is that he played 2 Seamless Launch and an Audacity, so this deck can get audacious really fast and can even never advance an SDS or send a message.
Yeah, which in this matchup SDS can be a brutal hit. I believe that SS ability to recur programs is limited to Labor Rights, Ashen's Epilogue, and a single copy of Retrieval Run, if I'm not mistaken, when it comes to the list that Apo is running.
Yes, that's correct. And also, if all else fails, you have, if the servers are not too deep, you can rely on Banhar. We see 1 copy of Banhar in hand.
Already in hand, yep. But so far we're just checking servers, drawing cards, and just keeping the corporation honest. This is a reasonable strategy to not randomly lose to, for example, SDS being installed on the table and scored with Seamless Launch and Audacity, or simply Seamless Launch and 2 advancements after it was pre-advanced one time.
Of course, we know the list, but I think it's still the Swiss rounds, and as the runner, you can expect anything. Like looking at the credit differential, you can possibly expect even punitive play here.
Yeah, punitive play would be one. Esther right now has hand size of 6, so trying to kill Zir with punitives would be a tall task, especially if Apo holds any amount of Steelskin Scarrings. But something like even Big Deal could maybe be used in, since this is a Swiss rounds, we could see, for example, Big Deal used with Basalt Spires, where Build to Last would go for some kind of fast advance game plan.
Apo now very aggressively using Labor Rights just to mill through the deck. We see 1 other recursion card in hand, which is Ashen Epilogue, getting back the Labor Rights, Laundry, and something else. What would it be? Raindrops.
He simply wants to increase the velocity of his deck, the amount of economy he has access to. He doesn't need breakers until Essence presents a credible threat to start scoring out or really doing anything to affect the game state, and with no remote to be spoken of so far, it can be contested with just running there, or the single bunker that will probably be plopped on the table sooner or later.
It seems, without some remote ice, it seems to be a slow start for the corporation. I don't know what's the plan here.
Well, the money situation is at least up, so maybe since we have seen so far multiple NGO start, he didn't feel pressured to build a remote. Like, there was no Rashida to be protected. Spin Doctor doesn't really need any protection, neither does NGO. So until he finds a reason to build a remote server, he's just saving clicks on them.
We see another crucial piece of the runner's engine in Ghost Tongue. Some sabotage decisions here.
Yes, as well as bunker coming down, which can be scary now that bunker is on the table. The single-iced HQ doesn't protect itself anymore from Chastushkas. coming out from S's deck.
Yeah, what's really nice is also this interaction between Ghost Tongue and Mystic Mamie, 2 copies of the Mystic in this deck. So you basically have all or most of your events now played for free.
Very much so, and the server being built with just a single ice in front of it suggests to us that it is not an agenda. Probably not an Rashida either, maybe another Spin Doctor or an inconsequential upgrade or asset that Essence is fine just pulling the runner into. Though with Raindrops Cut Stone, this run becomes a very juicy proposition for Essa, as we will probably see somewhere between 1 to 3 cards drawn if this ice.
We see the first spicy card here, Clearing House. Something's cooking, but seems Apo is happy to leave it on the table.
Yeah, without advancement it really just clogs the server, and until it gets advanced multiple times, never mind, we are going right back in. Oh, Apo didn't have credits to trash Clearing House. Clearing House trashes 3 credits, and at the moment of accessing it, he was only on 2 of them in the credit pool. And now that he has the means to trash it, he removes the threat from ever being present.
And the first Chastushka is coming to hand, so it could possibly be played for free next turn. You're right that Raindrops gave Apo credits after the run, so now we established some economy for the runner. Meanwhile, the Corp presents more threats, so it's a kind of choice now if Apo goes into HQ or contests the remote. Seems to be the second option.
Yes, that's the problem of playing against Bankhar, that anything behind 1 piece of ice is not really a threat unless we are...
Bankhar decision changed, so to HQ, sorry.
So it maybe Apo reads this as my opponent knows that I do have a Bankhar and they still decide to jam into the server. It cannot be a Clearing House, it cannot be probably an agenda, so unless it's a very bold push. So I'll use this time and use my tempo to poke HQ with Chastushkas and start conducting my own game plan.
Pharos so being rezzed, 3 subs, so that's just 3 damage. Legwork, Finality, and Running Hot, is it? Not sure about the third card, but 3 cards as a damage cushion.
Might have been a Strike Fund, but I'm not certain because the credits didn't appear in Apo's credit pool. And we can see that Essence is basically milling everything off the top of the deck. And I wanted to say that most of the multi-access from SS decks just went to the heap between Legwork and Finality, but if that continues and every single Sabotage trigger will just go from the top of an R&D, either R&D will soon be gone, or the agenda will pile up in archives and one simple run there will end the game.
Yeah, it seems so. Essence choosing now, using wall to wall, chooses to advance a piece of ice, either saying he won't use the ID ability on that piece of ice, or maybe not sure if they can advance anything, like a border control.
I believe wall to wall lets you advance anything, but we can see that wall to wall is going away, as an agenda probably entered that server with no breakers to speak of on the side of ESA so far. The single bunker might not be enough to stop the corporation from scoring out.
Now we see Spark being played for 1 credit. Discount from Ghost Tongue and Mamie. Okay.
So effectively for 1 credit. And since we know that both Basso and Lamb are currently in the heap, we will hit the Begamot, the Drunk Cat here, which immediately going up to 6 strength, I believe, will...
Yes, it also deals core damage itself, so it will trigger... This is a really powerful click by the runner. It will trigger the ESA ability as well.
Yes, this will be the 4th core damage of this game. And this will just break our Pharos for 1 credit, making it a really, really tough piece of ice to sell. Happily, over advanced Pharos, or triple advanced Pharos, can stop Behemoth for quite a long time. So maybe that will be the plan of our runner, to simply advance Pharos, install an ice in front of it so it cannot be bunkered through, and use that to protect themselves. But so far the game is looking to be going well according to ESA's plans.
Yeah, we saw another 2 cards from top lost on Sabotage. Here Apo is happy just not to break. We're seeing the first agenda stolen. Send a message. Okay, the corp gets free ice res.
And the runner gets his first 3 points, which in this matchup is quite a big step. I believe that Essence's ice suit is 6 3-pointers and a single solitary above the law.
We have an above the law, 2 SDS, 2 send a message, and surprisingly 2 oak downs, which will telegraph themselves. They're installed face up. If it comes to this, Essence will send a clear signal that there's an agenda.
See, so if it's an agenda right now, it has to be send a message, SDS, or earlier mentioned
Above the law.
Above the law, yes. I've blanked on the name. So, in the meantime, Apo resolving the second copy of Labor Rights, bringing a couple of cards, I believe one of which were Ashen Epilogue, back into the stack, hoping to use this recursion to bring the rest of the deck, rest of the heap back into the deck later. And here we see a very good sense from Apo, trashing a spare copy of Marrow instead of a spare copy of a Bankar as the above the law gets scored, and probably blowing up the first problematic copy of the friend with a bunch of animals around him.
Yeah. So it's 3-2. Probably Archives got really juicy for the runner.
Yes, I imagine that the Archives hold at least a couple points, and the Bunker, as useful as it would be to contest R&D right now, wasn't really all that necessary. The Begamot is very good at contesting the current HQ defenses, and this remote server, Pharos on the outside would be broken by Begamot, and the Bunker would be useless on the inside piece of ice, so it was really only interacting with the R&D server.
We saw Chastushka here, and all cards go from the top. And that's a GG.
At least 6 points going to the Archives, which runner promptly steals, and looks like our game is over.
I'm wondering if the corpse hand was... We didn't see Essence's hand, what was in the HQ, but probably he didn't have enough cards to trash, right? Or just took this gamble.
Or maybe he simply didn't want to pay the price of effectively tempoing himself out by removing his own hand from the game instead of going for a much more risky but not as painful trash from the top of the R&D.
Yeah, but we saw in this game the potential of ESA, right? The disruption this ID brings. Of course, playing against a smaller corp deck, so that's an advantage, but still well played.
Very much so. To both of the players, either side of this matchup can be taxing and hard to navigate through, and I wouldn't put it above anyone else to make any of these decisions, frankly. I can see both of the sides of the arguments to be correct.
Oh yeah, surely.
Thank you for joining me tonight, Bookkeeper. I hope you had a wonderful time, and I hope that our audience will love to hear more from you.
Okay, thank you very much. Had a great time, and see you soon.
Good night.
Bye-bye.